Yo, what's going on, guys? Back again with another banger of a video. Right now, I'm going to be talking about living in Japan long term, and these are just going to be my free flow thoughts. What I be thinking. Y'all know I got shit to say. I was just on the phone with my homie, and I mentioned this same homie in another video recently. I was talking about my brother Daniel, and that nigga lived here in Japan for a couple years, but he just recently moved back to the States, living a whole new life. And a lot of the times, we kind of expect us to be in certain places for a long, long time, but then that's the thing. Like you change, and your ambitions kind of change with you the more you grow up. You know what I mean? So I remember before I came here, I didn't know too much about Japan, but I did know a lot. I did know a lot about Japan, but even still, like, it's a way different experience about like viewing Japan from a YouTube perspective, because I used to be in the same position as you guys. I used to just be like, yo, Tokyo apartment tours. What is Tokyo like? What is Japan like? I was learning Japanese. I was doing a whole bunch of stuff to prepare me for my move to Japan, but like living here, having a life here is way different than just kind of like fantasizing what that life might look like. And I love Japan. I'm probably going to be here for a great amount of time. You know what I mean? But that's me. That's 22-year-old me saying. And I was having a conversation with my friend that I was talking about like sometimes you make decisions for a person that you don't even know yet. Like, I was saying, like, we were both talking about, like, we made the decision to come to Japan with a younger version of my brain that I currently have. And I live with those consequences of those decisions that younger me made. And, like, like, younger me made those decisions, but I still get to live as someone that lives in Japan now. You know what I mean? And I'm making decisions now to live in Japan for the next couple years, and I'm going to be 24, 25, and I'm going to be here. I'm going to be in my mid-20s living in Japan. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm making a decision for that guy. I haven't even met that guy yet. You know what I mean? And, like, that's the thing. Like, I love Japan right now. And you guys know that. I'm making a whole bunch of content talking about Japan, but living here long term, it's something very different. Like, if you guys come over here and you guys see how people are coming and going, you'll see that, like, it's a lot of things that you got to be on top of in order to be over here. You know what I mean? So, like, some people I know, some people in my neighborhood, some people that are just in the foreigner community, some people that graduate from my school, some people that just do a whole bunch of other stuff, they live here for many, 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 many years. But then you also have a whole bunch of batch of people that come here for just a couple months, maybe a study abroad semester, couple years, work here for a couple years, go back, So everyone has kind of have different destinations for how long they want to be in Japan. And that's something that you, as a viewer, might want to think about. That's something as me, as an individual making this video, has to think about. Because you're going to be the one living with that decision. And for some people, it's a good decision, and some people, it's a harsh decision. I was talking about some of the things that I really like about my life and that I really, 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 really do value, is that, like, I like being a part of a community. I like being invested in the community. When I was back home in Washington, D.C., I used to just be like, yo, Mr. Man in the community. I'm like 19, 20, like, ooh, just a young ass nigga, you feel me? And, like, I used to be hooping with my neighborly folks in the court, like, playing basketball. And I was like some dog shit. I was okay here and there, but I was getting up some points, I was running up some points. And then I was at the Starbucks across the street from my house, and, like, my neighborhood knew me because I was ringing up their drinks. I was, like, always greeting them. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Steven. Good morning, Mac. Good morning, Bill. Just a regular schmegular. You know what I mean? I had my regulars. And then I also volunteered at the homeless shelter down the street that took care of a lot of the guys that I seen roaming the streets ever since I was a young ass nigga. And like I was telling my homie that I was like, I love being involved in my community. I love investing in people that surround me. You know what I mean? And like I always had an ambition to raise a family. You guys seen it in my other videos. Like, should I have a kid here in Japan or should I have a kid in the US? Um, those characteristics of like just having a more solidified lifestyle that is like kind of like, how should I say, like rooted in one community that I could grow with for many, many years is one of the main appeals for me to moving back to the States. I'm not saying I'm moving back to the States now. I'm not at the point where I want to have a family. I'm not financially secured enough to do so and move back to the States comfortably. There's a lot of things that I can't do in the States right now. You know what I mean? But I know that's the goal. Like, not the goal of moving back to the States, but having a community that I could mess with and like really understand, be understood and appreciated by. When you're in Japan, people are Japanese. These are Japanese people. They're not gonna have the same cultural and like, how should I say, perspective values that you have. You know what I mean? I love yelling at my coffee shop like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" Like da 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 da. That's just me. I'm American. You know what I mean? And that's some things that you gotta come to terms with. Like, um, and you might see other videos like it's hard for like foreigners to climb the corporate ladder because you guys are just not seeing eye to eye sometimes. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a lot of things that someone like myself, someone that's like really community driven and likes having to be involved in people's lives, could sometimes feel, how should I say, stunted in an environment like this. I love it here. I'm always telling people like, go ahead, study abroad, go ahead, travel the world. I'm young. That's the perspective I want to take. I want to leave my comfort zone as much as I can currently, so that when I am ready to just settle down and live a more like situated life, I feel like I explored the world enough without having to go into old age and being like, yo, I wish I did that. I wish I did this. I wish I did that. But I know once I settle down, it might be in my hometown of Washington, D.C. It might be closer to my family in California. It might be maybe here in Japan. I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I'm driven by community. I'm not driven by like just novelty experiences. You know what I mean? And so if I could have a long, healthy, community driven life here, whether it be with my work, maybe it's with like a volunteer circle that I potentially volunteer with down the line. And maybe I could help the homeless population. There's not too much homeless population here. And so like that's one thing I have a hard time accessing. But just as a guy, just as an individual, I'm very community driven. You know what I mean? And like I just don't have the same level of community here that I did in the States, which I kind of knew, and which is completely fine. I get to see myself grow as an individual. You know what I mean? But I know down the line, I'm I'm making the decisions for 25, 27-year-old me, and I like the idea that I could potentially just be more community oriented. You know what I mean? And sometimes that idea of what community looks like sometimes reminds me of the United States. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like a lot of people here in Japan, they're here for different reasons. I'm here for school. I'm here to potentially work. So I could be here for like 10 plus years. You know what I mean? But it's also like, there's a lot of things that also make me want to stay here. Like the cost of living, certain health initiatives and like potential like family developing and family rearing programs that this country's having. There's a lot of things that make me really happy to be here. You know what I mean? But it's also things like that make it hard for me to be here. Like I don't speak Japanese that well. I don't look Japanese. And so maybe that could hinder how easily I traverse the job market, how easy I traverse certain communities and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So again, like living here long term is something that you got to really consider, and you're making decisions for someone that you haven't even met yet. You know what I mean? And that was just the point of what me and my friend were talking about this morning. Is that like a lot of the times living here long term, you don't even know. You don't even know what that looks like. You know what I mean? I don't even know what that looks like. And I live here long term. You know what I mean? But I just don't know who I'm gonna be 10. I'm not sure who I'm gonna be 2, 4, 5, 6 years from now. You know what I mean? And so my values on how I see this country, how I see my home country, how I see community, how I see so many different things that I currently understand and I think I understand are going to change as I live here longer in Japan. You know what I mean? And like as a viewer, as someone that might potentially come to Japan, you got to recognize what are your values beyond just this country. This country has a lot of things great for it, but then on top of that, you need to understand yourself as an individual and see how this country, Japan, and maybe your home country helps or negates you from achieving those personal goals. I am a community-driven person. I am a family-oriented person. Some people might really just want to self-actualize and go career crazy and do so much more. Some people might just want to be a baker in their local neighborhood and like just do that all day. And so you got to figure that stuff out for yourself and then see how Japan plays into that plan. You know what I mean? I already discussed so many times on this channel how like Japan is here for me to help me finish my education. And that's like the main thing that really draws me here, while also allow me to reach new career and financial freedoms. You know what I mean? So it's like I figured out how Japan works for me in my long-term plan, but you got to figure out from the bottom of your heart, you don't want to waste your time here. You don't want to be like, oh, da-da-da-da-da, like willy-nilly. Just understand that like you're making decisions and ambitions that can affect you long term, but like feel it from here. Like feel it from here. You know what I mean? Feel it from your heart, and you could really just see great things. You know what I mean? So again, I'm a community, family oriented type of guy, and I think that's kind of evident in how I interact with my friends, interact with education, interact with my career. And it's going to show up in the best ways possible if you just kind of live that way too. So see how Japan works for you long term. I'm probably going to be here for a while. I'm happy to be here for a while. And hopefully it fits in your guys' long-term plans as well. If it does, let me know how it does in the comments. If it doesn't, let me know what you could get out of Japan short term. I really do appreciate everyone that's been joining the Discord, subbing, leaving comments. I fuck with you all. I really do appreciate all of it. Sometimes I'm a little bit slow with replying to comments and replying in the Discord. Right now I'm taking a whole bunch of credits, like 18 credits, 5 classes, and I have to apply to a lot of the scholarships that allow me to support myself here in Japan. So again, right now I'm a little bit busy, but hopefully things ease up as the semester goes on a little bit longer. But I really do appreciate you guys. I'm gonna leave down below motherfucking Discord, motherfucking Instagram. So peace and love from Ninkamu. Bye.